views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everybody, to The Grave Report with your hosts, Sandy and Russ Wells, from American Ghost Hunters, SJ and Russ Wells. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Grave Report. This is our second episode, and tonight we have a very special guest, my dear friend, Khata Martinez, who is a shaman and also a priestess, and we are going to be talking about the paranormal and many other topics tonight. So I hope you'll enjoy the show, and let me get, I call her Kat. We're going to get Kat to come on and tell you all about herself. So Kat, take it away.
Hey, hello everybody. How you guys? Good to chat with you. This is cool. Well, my name is Khata, it's Catalina, but Khata for short. And I've known Russ and Sandy for quite many years, and so this is very awesome to be able to share within this podcast with you guys. And thank you for inviting me. Excuse me. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'll try not to be long-winded, but you never know. So I'm in service as a shaman, priestess, minister, spiritual life coach, Reiki master. I'm also a light worker, photographer, and an artist. And I enjoy working with my hands, doing arts and crafts. As you know, that's my form of therapy when things get a little crazy. You know how that is. So I graduated after a year-long shaman apprenticeship course in September of 2008. And it was during my training that I came to realize that I've always been gifted in this way for many lifetimes. I do believe in reincarnation, as many people do, and some don't, and that's okay. Shortly after I graduated as a shaman, I co-founded NWSPI, Northwest Shaman Paranormal Investigators, with a married couple I became close friends with when we met during our year-long shaman apprenticeship from 2007 to 2008. We know that there are such things as ghost spirits, and the like, and we knew that, but mainly our reason for creating this little group was to help people who are being psychically attacked, and by spirits or whatever entities. And so when we would get calls from friends who would refer us to various other people who were looking for help. So that's what we were doing. And that's mainly what I do. As far as working with trying to help people that are being attacked and who have attachments and they don't understand what's going on. And so I and Sandy both have helped people deal with that and come to understand it in a better way. When I turned 13 is when things started happening to me psychically. They say that at that age is generally when things start really happening for teenagers, and in my case that was true. We had moved to a place in Venice, California, and the house happened to be haunted, which we didn't know, but in the room that my sisters and my two sisters younger than I, we three slept in one little bedroom, and it ended up being the heart of the house. And so there was always some ghost spirits messing with me. So I was vulnerable, not understanding what was going on, and had experienced several out-of-body experiences and nightmares that were very vivid. I've seen some things that really scared me, and on occasions I was being touched by these invisible entities. So on my own, I started going to the libraries to research what was happening to me because I really couldn't talk to my parents about that. And I did say a few things, and my mom would say, "Well, you're just having a nightmare. It's okay. It's not real. Stuff like that." And I knew it was. So, and I was raised within a Catholic, very Catholic family, and at the age of 15, after going through all these different experiences with spirits, I knew that the Catholicism wasn't for me, and they weren't answering any of my questions. So I walked away, and well, my parents were very happy about that, but I was, and so I discovered a lot of information on my own, as I said, to help myself to understand what was going on, and I got into metaphysics, spirits, understanding what was out of body experiences about UFOs, and ended up coming across the Egyptian belief system and came across photos and pyramids and gods and goddesses, and I felt an instant familiarity with that era. And that's when my whole life started changing. And it was during that time in my research and growing up that I felt a deep connection with the goddess Isis and the goddess Bast. So, and that, excuse me, and then, so in today's day and age, I'm still very much in tune with that system, the Egyptian belief system, and I had a spiritual teacher who I had been learning from since 2004 when I met her. I met Sandy and Russ when we were doing the NWSPI, and worked a couple of cases with them. That was really was a lot of fun, and I know, well, Sandy and Russ can probably share some of that with you.
Mm-hmm.
And also, and probably there's a lot more involved, but I don't want to get too long-winded, as I said, but we also, Sandy and I, last year started working on missing person cases. Mm-hmm. And my decision to want to talk to Sandy about it was because of hearing about those over 750 children's bodies or bones that had been found in an unmarked site, grave site that they were just put in by the Catholic school thingy that was happening in Canada in all those years. So anyway, so we've been working on that, and she will say later on that we'll talk about that some. So otherwise, I did go to Shoreline Community College, and after my mother's passing in 2009, I was her caregiver for years. I decided it was time to continue my education, and so 3 months after my mom passed, I got into college, and that was a big step for me, and it really helped me to grow. And I did graduate with honors and AAA business technology degree. Mm-hmm. From that time. So yeah, I'm psychic, clairvoyant, clairsentient. I did start out. It probably would have been a medium if I hadn't gotten so scared as a younger kid. So I kind of blocked that all these years. So, but now it's coming back to the front, and that's when I'm working with Sasa. It's been good because it's improving my gifts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's all I can say now. I was planning.
You did good. Okay. So, Kat, we both understand, and Russ understands also that we all have our own personal journey. And
yeah,
although we have basically the same gifts, our journey path is a little different, but we understand that, and we respect each other's, journey, so to speak. And so, what is it that made you, okay, like for me, I went to college as well, and I had an A+ networking kind of computer certificate, kind of thing. And I did that, and I changed it. I went to several different schools, but never was able to find what I needed for me, what my purpose was, until just over the last couple of years. I went to school, and and I'm still in school, getting my degrees in metaphysical sciences. Well, that changed my course completely to where I am now. So, did your schooling change? Make you realize that was not where you needed to be?
Um, when I decided to go to college, I knew that I needed to do that for my own growth sake, for my own experiences, and it helped me a lot because there's a lot of times that I'm very introverted and I don't say a whole lot, and I've been studying people all my life because of that, I guess. But it helps me to come out of my shell, so to speak, and be more, be more in the public's domain and working around the public and learning and stuff like that. And as I was taking all those classes, I actually started out doing things that I was interested in. I did a redo on my Spanish classes. I took Spanish 1 and 2. I got into social. I forget the name of the class that I had, but it was about learning about society and how people work and all of that sort of thing, and various other things, business, English, math, which I hated. I couldn't stand that, but. And you had to take certain classes before you could, start working on a degree. And I even took psychology 1 and medical coding, blah blah blah. And so in the process of doing that, eventually they told me you have to pick a career. So,
Right.
Okay. So that's when I went toward the business technology degree because you got to do something. And I figured, well, at my age, because I was like 16.
Thank you.
Dobie.
Sorry, folks. We have animals.
We have a dog that every time we start recording,
Every time
he seems to like to start barking. So we put him outside. It should be fine now. Anyway, so yeah, and Russ kind of went through the same thing. He went through schooling, but it didn't satisfy his need for finding what he was supposed to be doing. I'll let him tell you about that.
No, but for me, I started as a young kid doing landscaping, and it was a love-hate relationship. And no matter what I did, between getting my electrical license, to truck driving. But I love truck driving. That was fun. But I couldn't do it because of my body, because of the requirement of the clutch. Unless you get an automatic. Anyway, that's another story all in itself. But the journey is always interesting, because you just don't know what life's going to throw at you next, and the quality of the person is how you deal with that adversity.
That's true.
Well, and plus, being involved in the paranormal for over 40 years now, like we said on the last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But anyway, it's one of those things that you try to walk. We've tried to walk away from it several times, and then you get pulled back because something always, somebody's always like bringing it back to you, and it's like it's meant to be. So that's why we're still here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you were doing like investigations with your team, what was some of the profound things that you guys discovered while you were doing investigations that led you in a new direction or whatever?
Well, when we would get a call, it was usually from another paranormal team.
Mm-hmm.
And because they knew, I guess our title of the team kind of put it out there, Northwest Shaman Paranormal Investigator, so it was very different from anybody else out there.
Right.
And so we would get calls and do you do this sort of thing? And sometimes I get calls from friends that I've known for quite a while, and they would tell me, hey, there's this woman I just spoke with, blah blah blah. So one of the ones that I remember the most, but there was a couple, and then one of them was a mother and her son, and this was in Tacoma. I don't remember their names, which is fine. You're not supposed to mention names anyway. But
Right.
they, she was saying, well, my son, there's something not right with him, and he's I think he's possessed. She was saying, for lack of a better word. So, and she would, she'd ask us, would we please come over and see what we could do? And there was noises going on in the house. There was shadow people. There was, knocking on the walls. That's all that sort of thing. And then the son would go into some kind of it would like flip a switch and he'd change. His personality would change. So she knew something wasn't right. And then he'd be very negative and talking back and just not being who she knew as her son. So when we got over there and we did the walkthrough and we took pictures, we had our our handheld voice recorders, and we had our drums and went through drumming, and that would be after the walkthrough and stuff. But so there was he had an attachment, and toward the end of when we did the walkthrough, and my friend who's a medium as well, and her husband is a demonologist, she could see what was going on and how many spirits were in the house, and there was several dark entities in there. So it turns out that this kid, I think it was, if I remember correctly, he was like 14, maybe 15 years old, and he would just he was in the kitchen. We had him stay in the kitchen with his mom while we walked around, and he just kind of was sitting at what do you call those? It's a coffee nook kind of thing. So he was sitting there, and while we walked around, and then the mother came to at one point, and she said, "My son's acting weird." So we walked into the kitchen to see what was going on, and he was like sitting there with his eyes kind of glazed over, and he wasn't talking or doing anything, but he had this energy about him that was not. It was very. It was a yucky feeling. I know you know how that feels when you walk in and the air, the atmosphere feels prickly.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the validation. There's some negative thing there because the energy's not. It's prickly basically. But anyway, so he started moving his lips. He was saying something. He was babbling. He was kind of tucking in. What's the word? Tucking in. It wasn't making sense.
Yeah.
So, and the mother was getting freaked out and trying to talk to him, and I'd put my hand up for her to be quiet, because he had his eyes closed. And then, so I just started saying some prayers to him, and both, the three of us were talking to him and getting him to come back and calling his name and getting him to call back and saying prayers. And I used the Lord's Prayer, and I used the Hail Mary and spoke it in his ears, right against his ears, and then eventually he did pop back, probably within 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't going to the attachment wasn't going to let him. He didn't want to let go.
Right.
So finally we won that battle with the help of channeling, the higher beings, the benevolent ones, and and we got it to leave. We never heard from him again, so we did check back once, and they said the mother said that, oh, he's doing a lot better, and she was very grateful.
Good.
So yeah, that was a really different experience, because this thing did not want to go.
Right.
And the son did have this attachment, had a good hold on him, but we managed to get him back, and he and then had a counseling session with him, and
right.
told him what he could. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
I actually remember that case. I remember you calling me, and we spoke on the phone while you guys were doing walkthrough or something of the house. I don't remember exactly the whole thing, but I do remember you calling me, and we talked about, the different energies and stuff. And but I remember you kept me up to date on how the case was going. So it was, that's what we talk about a lot during. Well, we kind of last time we did a episode was that you have to, I don't know, be aware that the energy that you're walking into is not always something that you want to, I don't know, you don't want to, what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Get involved with, or
No, I mean, yell at it or say, hey, you got to
Provoke.
do this, or provoke. That's the word I'm thinking of.
Jesus.
yeah. No, you don't want to do that.
No. And
I gotta think of words for you. That's
a lot of times
good and bad.
what happens is, a lot of people will say, hey, everything's fine, you're going to be fine, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, and they walk away and they don't come back. And then these people are stuck with
Right.
this new problem.
Yes.
Because, yeah, I mean,
It's been amplified, kicked up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just walk into any location, especially if it's a residential or even a business. You can't walk in there and make things worse than when you got there.
Yeah, you're not helping the situation.
No.
And
they make it worse.
And a lot of people say, well, what's the difference about having just us here or a psychic with us, that doesn't know about the paranormal? Well, guess what, folks? The origination of communicating with spirits comes from psychic abilities, not paranormal investigators. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we all have our own abilities when we try to use them in an investigative sort of way.
It's
Go
like
ahead.
that tingling on the back of your neck, that sense that you're being watched. Folks, that's them.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a validation. That's a validation something is there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pay attention to it and you might experience something.
That's why
sure.
On the last episode I kept emphasizing the fact that you have to get rid of the fear. If you're going to be an investigator,
check it at the door.
You can't look at it as some monster that's going to crawl out of the closet and beat the crap out of you.
Right.
I mean, it's every instance of paranormal activity is different, and if you expect it to be the same, you're kidding yourself. Is basically yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, there's a different. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, it's just the paranormal. We don't need the spiritual part of it. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Go ahead, Russ.
Well, that leads me right to my next part here. I know what it does for me because I've had it done for me. But Kat, can you tell me, for folks that may not know, what does drumming do?
Yeah.
It brings up your energy. It boosts you up. You listen to the tone of the drum. It's the tone when I do a drum beat. It's like a heartbeat,
Mm-hmm.
and that's so that the body, the person, or who are there present when I'm drumming will feel that energetic change, a frequency change, and that generally helps the person, anybody there, to get to a certain state of consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can release whatever negative energy you may have, whatever anxieties or fears or whatever, and let it go. And sometimes I'll speak as I'm drumming and to address the higher self of each person, and so that they can be aware that, okay, now whatever energy, whatever emotions you feel coming up to the surface, let it go, let it flow.
Right.
So that's you want to release that. So yeah, so that's what it basically does, and it's a way to get rid of the negative energies.
That helps. That helps the living people. How about the spirits, the ghosts?
What is it?
They don't necessarily like it, right? Even because that's it's the energy. It's building up the energy, and as I'm drumming, I'm sending out with my own thoughts, and
Yeah, you're building the positive energy in
Right.
the space instead of what they're
Yeah.
carrying.
See, there you go. That's the paranormal. These are the questions that we need to ask. What are certain things to do? Well, there's certain groups that like to provoke. I don't.
I
No,
won't.
that
Because
is not cool.
yeah, just so they can get activity, you just upset somebody to the point where they want to do something to you.
Yeah,
What's the point in that?
right.
It's no point. They're trying to make a name for themselves, or hey, look, we proved there is ghosts. Yeah, I told you there was ghosts. Yeah, but then they walk away, and then they're leaving the people there with a bigger problem.
Absolutely.
Kat, would you say that drumming is like a sort of meditation in a way?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Because I'll drum for anywhere from 15 minutes to whatever.
Yeah.
If I can go half an hour, depends.
Yeah.
It does. That's the whole idea, is to put you in a meditative state.
Yes.
And then so then you're working with your own stuff, your inner whatever's, right?
Yeah. And actually, I can vouch for what drumming can do, because Russ and I both have had a drumming session through Kat.
It's fantastic.
It's wonderful. But the last one I did, you could actually feel the energy shifting in your body. It's an amazing experience. And if you ever get a chance just to clear the negative, toxic stuff out of your life,
Right.
drumming, I mean, get hold of Kat, because
Yeah.
she's great at what she does. Believe me.
I love it. I love what I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's helping people. It's helping people, and that's why I'm here. I mean,
Yeah.
that's I realized what my path was when before my older brother was murdered and his son was committed suicide, and all of that, it brought me to the decision, you know what, I got to do something. I need to take this shaman class that had been offered to me for several years, and it wasn't the time. But then in 2007, after my nephew committed suicide, then that's when I said, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
I can't just not do something now. So it was that eternal battle between good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, no, I'm not going to just sit here now. I've got to do something for my family and for other people, all my relations.
Right.
Right.
So,
and the balancing of energy. What most people don't realize is, say, "Oh, I want to have a good life, and I don't want anything to happen," and that's an illusion. You have to have that balance between good and evil. I mean, it's a forever thing. It will never change. That has to happen. The good usually, and the good usually resides over the bad, but sometimes the darkness, like if somebody's drug addicted or alcoholism or whatever the case may be, that's a form of the darkness being overshadowing the good part of the person. And so, it's go ahead.
That's the definition of your personal demons.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, now a lot of people, when they become paranormal investigators, don't realize is that it's the ultimate time to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you agree? Because
definitely.
Because if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you'll never want to learn more. And here we go back to the fear thing again. I'm telling you, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you are in fear, do not go on an investigation.
No.
Because the first thing you're going to do is attract what you don't want to attract.
Exactly.
Fear is like I said, the ultimate in downfalls for paranormal investigators. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you're going to walk around a corner sometime and there in front of you is going to be this partially invisible person or a shadow person that you don't know who that is, and it's like a shock and awe moment. It's not, for in my case or Russ's case or your case, Kat, it's not like a fear in our case because we understand it. But for somebody who's never experienced that before, it's like, oh my God, and they're totally wiped out by fear. So
Yeah. And then the negative entities start feeding off that person who's vulnerable and who's freaking out, and then they end up taking a hitchhiker home.
that's right.
Yeah.
And you could even do that. You could do hitchhiker stuff without even realizing you're doing it, without fear.
Yeah. Tag along, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I always say, if you're going out and about, say you go into town, you're going to go get your shopping done, go to the bank, whatever, there's always a chance that you'll get a hitchhiker.
Yep.
Because they're looking for somebody who's not paying attention or who's vulnerable, who's addicted, as you say, and they'll just, jump on that person and then go home with them. And
yep.
So I tell them, you know what, when you do that, I tell it to my family members too. I said, if you leave, don't you come in this house until you tell anybody that might be with you, and you say it out loud. If there's somebody with me trying to walk in my house, you're not welcome, and you need to stay out and go back where you came from.
Yes.
As I will it, so mote it be.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't come in; they cannot enter.
Exactly.
We had to actually do that. We went and we were just messing around doing our normal stuff over in, I think it's Snohomish at the time.
Yeah.
And we came back and we brought something with us.
Yeah.
I got pictures of these.
It wasn't my invitation, believe me.
But I was sitting there. I'm trying to enjoy the rest of my day because we got done ghost hunting. The last thing I'm going to do is probably sit down and watch evidence. That's the first thing she does, but not me. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to watch the recap of the day's sports, and right behind my head was a loud.
Yeah, a big clap right behind us.
Yeah.
And we're like,
that's what I said. No, you got to go. You got to leave. I don't know who you are, but that ain't cool. And it did. But yeah, it just came with us.
And that was with protection. I mean, I protected us both, and it still came home with us. So
yeah. So there's just one little whatever miscellaneous. Oh, maybe I should have said this or do that, and you never know.
Yeah, you just don't.
No.
Yeah.
And those of us who are very experienced within the field, you always have to be cautious and always aware of what's going on around you, within you, or whatever. Listen to your inner spirit. Listen and make sure you're free, safe.
I mean, we have a friend that he went to a cemetery and he wasn't even doing the investigation. He was standing outside the fence.
Yeah.
And he's leaning on the fence, and all of a sudden, some unseen force grabs him and pulls him over the fence.
Over the fence.
Oh.
So,
yeah.
He didn't invite that to come to him. He didn't even try to get it to come to him. It just didn't like him for some reason. And it just yanked him right over that fence.
Well, they probably knew that he had powerful psychic abilities, and they wanted to mess with him. But if he wasn't feeling well, then he decided to stay on the other side of the fence. That's probably why they jerked him. He was in a vulnerable moment.
Actually, you know what? I think he told me he was not feeling well that night, so he decided not to do it. He was just hanging out with the friends. Well, he's become more powerful now. He won't admit to the fact that he's got abilities, which a lot of people won't.
No.
That makes no sense.
But I know.
Their brothers say they don't.
It's that fear thing. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Somebody think I'm a freak.
I want to get a T-shirt that says "Don't fear," because
I got news for you. I have a little bit of the radio power. I call it tuning in your radio. Everybody's got a different frequency.
That's true.
But that ain't what makes me weird. So ain't even close. Ghost hunting ain't got nothing to do with that.
It's like, psychic abilities they're so different. Everybody says, well, I'm this and I'm this and I'm this, but you're going to have your own way of receiving, your own perception. That's why, and you'll agree with me on this, Kat, and I know Russ does. Everybody has those abilities that are different.
Yes.
And how they claim those abilities, or they use their abilities, but they I got off track for a second. My brain is not working today. So
Today.
be quiet. Anyway,
That's all right. Go ahead.
so we have to. I know what it was, because a lot of people say, "Well, I'm a really good psychic and I get things right all the time." Well, that's not possible. You can't.
I don't buy that.
No, I mean,
it's a trial and error. It's
mm-hmm.
You just don't know. You can zoom in on something and feel that, oh my God, this is that, and this is that, but not necessarily. But it could be others. It could be other spirits nearby who are poking their nose and they're trying to get a word in edgewise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Take a picture. Take a picture and give it to 3 different people. They're going to see 3 different things.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Because I have this one ghost photo that I put out a couple times now. And it's of a little girl standing next to a, not a little girl, but a teenager.
Right.
Spirit is standing next to a headstone. And that after all these years, I've learned to analyze photos very well. We've talked to many photographers and had them look at them too. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But everybody sees something different. One person said that she saw a dog there. I didn't see no dog. I saw the girl, but I didn't see no dog. But, like I said, everybody's perception is different. So,
and that's where I differ with a lot of people and their evidence. If you're not willing to submit your evidence and your equipment to professionals and have it checked out, don't bother with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you have to make sure that it's not a dust or a raindrop or whatever, or
that's
smear on the lens.
First order of business when you we had a piece of activity. She's been on national TV with it.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing we did was take our equipment and the footage to professionals. They did not call it a ghost. They said, we cannot recreate it, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there you go.
They said we will not confirm that it's a ghost, but
they can't say the word ghost. They got it.
Yeah, because of their professional.
They're professionals.
Thing.
Yeah.
But they agreed that there was definitely something in the video that they could not explain.
Well, we did that with the video, and we also did that with the picture of the guy on the stairs. We took that to a photographer.
Yeah.
And he put that one through a motion sensor, some damn thing.
He measured it and did all this stuff with his equipment.
I did it again.
I heard it.
Did you say
I just said I said dang, but not with a G.
Oh, that's okay. Oh well.
Sorry.
It's okay. But anyway, we were talking. You were talking when you're in your introduction. You were talking about missing persons and stuff, and we got into that. I don't know, how long's it been now, Kat?
So we started last year, and it was in summer. It was shortly after coming. Let me see. I'm gonna say it was probably June.
Okay.
June or July. I'm sure I have it marked down somewhere, but that was that's when whenever they started talking about the children's bodies, all the graves. Yeah,
it was in Quebec or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in somewhere in Canada, Quebec, or Montreal, somewhere over there.
Well, there was some kind of school there, Catholic school that they sent the indigenous children to, and we don't know the whole situation, how they died or whatever, but there was 215 children there.
There's 750. They kept counting more and more.
Oh, well, see, I never kept track of that story after that, but that was 215 was bad enough.
Yeah, and then it kept going. So, and those schools, because I met a friend when we moved to Applegate, Oregon. I met a friend who was from Canada, and she told me about these schools, and because her and her siblings were taken from her mom because she could no longer take care of them because she had a mental problems, and she was so depressed that her husband died. So he left her with the kids, and she couldn't do it. She couldn't maintain it, so she let the state take the kids because she couldn't take care of them. So I heard some really terrible stories from my friend, and she's my age. well, I'll say it. I'm 71, so she's like 2 months older than I am.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she said it was a lot of abuse. You could hear children crying. You'd see people, women, or the nuns, or the guys, the priests coming in and grabbing a kid, and then they'd go away with them, and they knew what was happening.
Right.
So a lot of the children that had gone to these schools had been abused, molested, raped, beaten. It was not a good thing. And then they just dumped them. Just got rid of them, throw them out in the field or whatever they did. They're evil. So when we found out about that happening, and I found out, and that's when I talked to Sandy. I said, "Hey, would you be willing to see if we could contact these spirits and see what we can do to help them?" That's what mainly got me into this, murdered missing Indigenous women and murdered missing Indigenous people.
Well, at that time even we didn't realize just how profound the Indigenous peoples of this United States are missing.
Right.
It's horrible.
The list it goes on and on. It's ridiculous. And
but they don't talk about it.
No.
Here in the States, they don't talk about it. Well, it's coming to the front now. Go ahead, Sandy, tell them about it.
Yeah. Well, just a couple days ago, Washington State passed a law that now they have kind of like when children come up missing, those
Amber Alert.
Amber Alerts, kind of like an Amber Alert thing for Indigenous people in this state.
It's about time.
And I hope every other state takes that as a way to get this done, because
they need the help.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, you guys, if you have no idea, if you could go on the reservation websites for their police department or whatever, the tribal police, and you will see lists of people that are missing off the reservation.
No lie. And we were looking at the dates, and many of them were like taken on the same day. Children, women.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just horrific.
Go ahead, Russ.
Well, it just upset. I got Cherokee in my bloodline, and it just upsets me because, and it happens in other races too. But it's almost like, well, it's just another Indian.
Yeah.
And that hurts. I mean, for anybody. I mean, black, brown, yellow. I'm not singling anybody out, but these girls and these women, these kids are just forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
It's unacceptable.
Well, we have a case that we've been working on closely because this woman's spirit has been coming to us, both of us, off and on, and she's been helping us with, bringing other spirits forward. So I'm not going to mention the name right now. I mean, Kat, if you want to, you can, but we're trying to help. We want to get in, and part of our goal for this is to go to these different reservations and try to help solve some of these crimes.
Yeah.
And
so
go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just gonna we've done up to 16 Zoom videos on different missing persons and several missing persons per video.
Right.
So we have several that we can use already.
Yeah.
And all we need now is reliable transportation and funds for gas and food and lodging, and then we will be out there.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal: is we don't. What is wrong with my brain today? Anyway, it's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those things that it's going to be ongoing.
Oh yeah.
Because there's so much. Yeah.
There's so many missing. It's sad. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's horrific. I mean, not to mention all the children that are missing in this country.
Right.
There is rings and rings of pedophile organizations that's what they do.
You know what
they take these kids and then they sell them to people. And
Okay, you got right now. We got a situation in our southern border where we've got a lot of illegal aliens that are coming in, and they're mostly Hispanic. A lot of different races, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just the children. My God,
Yeah.
that is just and young women and young men. It's an opportunity just to pluck away, and my God, it's so scary.
That's what I was going to mention. Was it's not just for abduction purposes, but it's trafficking.
Yeah.
They're taking these kids and adding them to lists and lists of children that are missing in this country. Not just indigenous, but
modern day slavery, folks. Definitely.
All races.
Yeah, it's all races, and they're abusing them.
Oh my God! Yes.
Just cattle. They chain them down to beds. They drug them.
Mm-hmm.
And we've received a lot of information from, and which was an interesting thing that happened when we were doing. Then Sasa and I were doing a couple of cases, and she can see when somebody has died.
Mm-hmm.
And then she can see when, oh, wait a minute, they're not dead. They're still around.
Yeah.
So it gives a different energy if you want to explain that.
Oh, it's a different kind of energy. When a person is separated from their body, it's like a feeling of separation. Like they're lost. That's kind of feeling. It's kind of hard to put into words, but it's like a feeling of being pulled away. Yeah. I guess. Like if somebody had hold of you and they're yanking you away, that's what it feels like. But when they're still in the living presence, and they're still in their bodies, and we're dealing with trafficking, it feels different. It's a different feeling. It's like you can feel the emotions more than anything else. Yeah.
Right. So the energy, the frequency then is entirely different.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell that. Okay, they're not. Well, isn't there a certain color you see?
Sometimes it depends on the spirit what they want to show me. A lot of times, even they've accepted the fate, their fate that they're gone, and other ones like children, like we ran across a couple that they don't know that they're gone.
Yeah,
and trying to explain that to a young spirit like that is horrendous.
Oh, it's terrible. Oh my God.
I mean, Kat and I both have had times when we both were crying because it's such a sad situation. If anybody gets taken like that, or anybody gets trafficked or abused or whatever and murdered, whether it's male or female, it doesn't matter because it's still that same feeling of loss,
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. It's terrible, especially the little ones. There was a case that we did that was a little boy and his sister, and the little boy was 6 and the sister was 5,
mm-hmm.
and they got snatched by some guy who crossed several states, ended up in, was it Minnesota?
Well, yeah, the guy trafficked them, and then he sold them to this guy, this total creep in Minnesota, and I got a picture of the house that they were in, everything.
Yeah.
But people have to understand that unless you're ready and willing and able to deal with the authorities and their doubts in you and all that, then, or they say, well, how do you know this information? Are you involved? See, you have to be really cautious as to how you deal with police departments and all that.
Sure. Though some police departments are now willing to use the help of psychics.
Right. Especially if it becomes a cold case, which happens quite often, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's several shows that are out that are dealing with psychic detectives. And that's what it's called. Mm-hmm. So basically, that's what we're doing. We're using our gifts in order to try and locate these people so that their sacred remains will be returned to their families.
Yes.
So they can have closure.
Right.
And that's why I am so so passionate about doing this, working with the indigenous people because they need the help.
Yes.
They need it desperately.
Yes. So, but I would like to put out there if any other, Kat, I was thinking, before I mentioned that, that maybe we should start a group of like Sacred Sisters, like we are right now. We have it on Facebook. It's already open. It's called Sacred Sisters SOLS. If you want to go to that page and like the page and you're psychic, please let us know because we would love to work with you. And you could maybe help us in this course of trying to find people.
You need to be for real. Don't try to come to us and play a game and then let me see what I can trick these ladies, whatever. No, we're not gonna deal with that. We want honest, true to life medium people that are mediums who have psychic abilities, who have a good heart and want to help others.
Yes.
So don't try to come and try to scam us because we see through that stuff.
Because we could have some Zoom calls. Any information that you pick up on about a case that you don't know. I mean, if you can describe the person and all that, and where you feel they are, anything like that, we would like to know because it will help us in helping families, especially because it's that not knowing that kills people in grief.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. It's not. If you make it about you, you're in the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're trying to help.
Yeah, and it's very emotionally trying.
Yeah.
Not to mention, not to mention that it has to be something that you're willing to take an hour out of your day and go on these missing people websites and start working. If you need our help, let us know, and maybe we can help. But
if you got any information, contact the authorities. Contact, these guys. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, they these guys, what they do, it drains them down. But I really think about the families, and they don't have no closure, and what that must feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the one case that we're following is right in particular is she's Native.
She's an older woman.
She's an older woman. She's 62 when she went missing. That was June 8th last year, and we came across her one day, and we were drawn to her photo. And so ever since then, I mean, there's at least we got 4 videos that we've worked on in her regard, and we don't want to say the name just yet, but she was a very, very gifted woman. She was a master weaver of beautiful native carpets and rugs and things like that, and she was loved by her community.
Yes.
And so her niece has been doing walks, walking for the MMIWs, MMIPs to help, trying to get help from the authorities. Navajo Nation does not have enough police people to go out and do the searches, and so they're lacking. They're lacking in a lot of things. They don't have drones. They don't have the help, and so she's doing her best, and it's so heartbreaking and I've been watching some of her vlogs and stuff, and as she's on these walks, and it's heart-wrenching because she doesn't know where her auntie is.
Yeah.
But we like I said, we've been working on this case, and I just want to get these videos together and make sure that everything is okay, that because when we're doing these videos, we're there's no scripts. We are ourselves.
Yes.
We're not famous. We're good people. We love helping us, humanity, and we're here to serve.
Right.
And so I am very intent in helping to get closure.
Right.
Together, we both are. We want her case, or Auntie's case, for her to have some answers, and we've got some.
Well,
so,
although this is not one of those things where you really want to go and tell the family that they are now in spirit, bringing their remains home so they can bury them properly in a indigenous way, whatever that may be for their their tribe or whatever, is very important to them. And I would love. I'm getting cold chills, Kat.
validation.
Yeah, that it's very important that these people are brought home, and I'm talking about everybody that comes missing.
Yes.
So
they need closure. Yeah.
I mean, and we've worked on this case, like Kat said earlier. I think we've done like 3 or 4 videos now of it.
Of just her alone, the auntie alone, yeah. There's at least 4 videos we have. So it's a matter of trying to cut them, paste them together, and stuff like that. And I'm not a pro at by any means doing video auditing, so that's taking a bit of time.
Well,
but I'm feeling. Go ahead.
That and well, the whole point is that being psychic does not mean that you get these few images and you stop. That's why we've done so many videos, is because this woman, for some reason, has really grasped hold of me and Kat's hearts. And we want, because she comes and sees us. So, it's like more of a personal, kind of like being part of her family, and finding out. But every time that we do one of these videos, there's something new that comes up. More details. Because you got to understand, spirit, when they're communicating, it just drains them. And so they can't communicate for long periods of time, usually depending on who it is, of course. But in her case, it was like 20 minutes and she'd be zapped, Yeah. So you're not...
It takes a lot of energy for the spirit to hold that focus, I guess you can say.
Yes. And so, one of the last times that we did a video, I actually got a vision of a gas station and some other things, and now I think we know where that gas station is.
That was cool. So we used even Google Earth and tracing a possible, very possible path that this person took to get when they took her away in the auntie.
Well, and the sad part is they know who did it.
Yes,
but
he's walking free now. He's still walking around free.
Yeah, and they have no proof or facts or whatever you want to call it yet. And so that's why we've got to get this done, and we got to make sure that Auntie comes home. And
we still need to do a little bit more work, I think, because there's other things that have little tips and hints that have been popping up when I've been watching these videos of the niece, and things that she said that rang a bell for me. And so I know I mentioned it a couple of things, but
we have to talk about that.
we'll talk about that later. But so it's an important thing, and so I feel once this happens and hopefully we are able to help them locate her remains, her sacred remains, that they will realize that we are the real deal. We're not playing games. We're not looking for fortune and fame. We're here to help, and then we do need help as well in order to get out there, to get the travel out there. So,
and some of these are offering rewards to find these people, but they got to understand the rewards will go towards our travels so that we can help other people, other families.
Right. So that's how it is. And
it's not like a personal gain thing. So but anyway, so we're up to 58 minutes, sis. It was a quick hour.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But that was great being able to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
We, like Sandy says, we we will be putting together a website. The one we had before was
it wasn't worth it.
yeah. So, but they'll they'll continue with podcasts and stuff, and I'm happy to come back and chat with you guys again if you want.
We will. We will do that.
That would be fine with me. So
yeah.
But thank you for the invite, and I had a good time with you guys, and to be continued.
That's for sure. Okay, sis. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
All righty.
Okay.
Blessings, y'all.
Blessings.
Later, sis.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.
She's awesome.
She is awesome. Kat and I work a lot together, and even though we have our own path that we're taking, it's still we work together along with Russ to help these families, and hopefully we'll get the answers they need.
Yeah, I was hearing her, and she said her age. I ain't going to repeat it, but she's got a young heart.
She does. But she's got an old soul.
Yeah.
And just like me.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, thank you guys for stopping in and listening to this episode. The last night's went really well. This one will be aired next Wednesday at, I think it's 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Right.
So whatever that is during your time.
9 o'clock on the East Coast. No.
Yeah.
10, 3 hours difference.
No, 10 on the East Coast. Yeah. But anyway, we've been having a great time doing these episodes for you, and I hope that you will keep joining us. Let us know. Let us know in the chat when the episode's on what you think about our episode. We'd really appreciate it. And
if you got any ideas, that you wanted to hear us discuss, leave a little message. Let us know. Contact us. Send us a friend request.
Yeah, and we're also on American Ghost Hunters, SJ and Russ Wells on Facebook.
Right.
Khata and I have a page called Sacred Sisters SOLS. And you guys can like that page. And so, yeah, I mean, just keep coming.
Yeah.
So
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you guys so. And once again, I want to thank Shia and Matt for having us on their network.
Thank you.
And we'll be back again. Bye, guys.
See ya.